It was the mistake of a lifetime, one that I can never undo. The day I opened the envelope with the divorce papers, a wave of emptiness hit me. I woke up to a silence I had never known before, an absence that crushed everything I thought I understood about love and family. For 14 years, I had built a life with Ethan, my best friend, my partner, and the father of our children. Now there was nothing. No laughter, no warmth, no shared moments. Just the painful realization that I had lost everything in the blink of an eye. I spent the morning staring at the empty space beside me, wondering how I had arrived at this point. It was as though everything I had once cherished had been ripped away in one fell swoop. Ethan was no longer beside me, and in that silence, I realized the depth of my mistake. The weight of my actions bore down on me as the full impact of what I had lost became undeniable. The warmth of his presence, the comfort of his scent, the sound of his voice, all gone, taken away by my own selfishness. I thought about how we met, how we became inseparable from the moment we crossed paths. In college, we were two young dreamers, each carrying our own ambitions and desires. But from the very start, there was an undeniable connection between us. We spent hours talking, laughing, sharing our dreams. He wasn't just my partner. He was my best friend, someone I could rely on through thick and thin. When we graduated, we moved in together, eventually starting our family. The birth of Ella and Maya was a beautiful chapter in our lives. They were our world, our shared joy, our reason to push forward through all the difficulties life threw our way. We faced challenges together, work pressures, sleepless nights, and the never-ending balancing act of parenthood. Yet through it all, we stood by each other. It wasn't always easy, but it was our life, our story. But as the years passed, something began to shift. The pressures of work, of raising two children, of juggling everything that life demanded from us, started to take their toll. Conversations became fewer and far between. The intimacy that once flourished between us began to fade into the background, replaced by the noise of everyday life. Slowly, I started to feel invisible, unappreciated, and alone in a marriage I had once thought was unbreakable. Then, about 3 months ago, in a moment of weakness, I made the decision that would change everything. I cheated. It happened once, but that one mistake was enough to destroy everything. I never thought it would come to that. I never thought I was capable of betraying Ethan in such a way. But in that moment, feeling neglected and lost, I sought comfort in someone else. It was a grave error, a choice that now haunts me every second of the day. In the aftermath, regret hit me with the force of a tidal wave. I didn't understand why I had done it. I knew that I was missing something, but I had no excuse. I had been lonely, yes, but that didn't justify my actions. The guilt weighed heavily on me, and I found myself drowning in a sea of self-loathing. I began to question everything, my choices, my marriage, my own sense of self-worth. It was like I had thrown away everything that had mattered to me for a fleeting moment of misguided escape. When I confessed to Ethan, I thought it might bring some form of relief, but it only deepened the wound. His reaction was immediate and raw: shock, anger, and betrayal. I saw the hurt in his eyes, the disbelief, and the pain that I had caused. It was unbearable. He hurled accusations at me, names I knew I deserved. He had every right to be angry, to question everything he had once believed about us. I begged him to understand that it wasn't about love or desire for anyone else. I wasn't looking for a replacement. I had just made a terrible choice in a moment of weakness. I offered him my phone, cut off all communication with the coworker, and promised to do whatever it took to prove that I wanted to fix what I had broken. But Ethan wasn't someone who easily forgave betrayal. Trust, once shattered, was not something he could simply rebuild. He told me he wanted a divorce. And even though it felt like a dagger to my heart, I knew he was right. I had lost his trust, and perhaps I had lost him forever. Then the world did something strange, something that, in a twisted way, gave me one last chance. The quarantine began. We were forced to stay in the same house, sharing space, meals, and life once again. The divorce process was paused. The first month was excruciating. There was no talking, no warmth, just a cold distance between us. We barely exchanged words, speaking only about Ella and Maya. I slept on the couch, giving him space, hoping that somehow, time would heal the wounds I had caused. But deep down, I knew I was running out of time. But then, something shifted. Slowly, over the next few weeks, Ethan began to open up. We started talking again, discussing the little things, the mundane moments that once felt so ordinary but now seemed so precious. We began watching movies together as a family, spending time with our daughters and reconnecting in the smallest ways. It felt like a glimmer of hope, a tiny flicker of the love we had once shared. I wanted to believe that we could rebuild, that we could heal. I was willing to fight for it, even if it meant fighting for his trust all over again. However, in my heart, I knew I wasn't doing enough. Despite the progress we were making, I never suggested marriage counseling. I thought we could work through it on our own, that time and space would be enough to fix the broken pieces. But I was wrong. One night, as we shared drinks and laughter in our bedroom, I felt the spark between us once more. In a moment of spontaneity, I kissed him. But as soon as our lips met, the reality of everything came crashing down. I saw the tears in his eyes. He pulled away and asked me to stop. In that moment, I understood. The pain was too deep for him to forget so easily. The betrayal had scarred him in ways I hadn't fully grasped. I apologized immediately, but it was too late. The damage was done. 2 days later, he told me he couldn't do this anymore. He wanted a divorce. He didn't think we could make it work, no matter how much time we spent together or how much we tried to reconnect. We made arrangements, shared custody of Ella and Maya, a final hug filled with both love and sadness, and then he left for a brief trip. When he returned, the atmosphere between us had changed. The small talk was there, but the warmth, the connection was gone. We exchanged polite smiles, but deep down, I knew things would never be the same. The irreparable damage had been done. Receiving those divorce papers wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of everything I thought I had. The end of my best friend, my partner, the man I had shared my life with for so many years. The hardest part was realizing that I had caused so much pain to the person I loved most. The regret is suffocating. I would give anything to turn back time, to erase that moment of weakness, to prove that I was capable of doing better. But I can't. And now, here I am, sitting with tears streaming down my face, knowing that I will never get Ethan back. I love him more than I ever realized, and I would do anything to have him in my life again. But I know deep down that I've lost him forever.